like I've got boobs because of the design, but I don't. So yeah, this will be my Christmas stream, having to do it at this time of day, just simply because, like I've said before, with it being Christmas and that, it's a bit difficult, you know, streaming at certain times. I can't really change any of the sort of settings very well on here because I'm just on my phone. So annoyingly, that does mean that, you know, if any of the settings aren't right, I can't really change them. I was just seeing if there was anything else I could change, but no. So hopefully the stream works and people get to see it. But like I said, it's going to be a bit difficult because not at home at the moment, and you know, I'm obviously here. So Mr. GB5 says he got a new Master Christmas. Cool. What did you get? Merry Christmas to 666 Jet as well. Yeah, I was looking for my Die Hard one and I couldn't find it, so I found this one instead. So hang on, because I had to look all through my one of my cupboards where I've got loads of the surplus in, and I've got clothing in. So yeah, but it does really make you look like you've got tits, this jumper, for some reason. Just like the weird shape of it. So yeah. For some reason it does make me look like I've got boobs, but yeah, that's just how it's kind of padded out, this jumper. Got a PDE one, PMK2, GP7, and some other ones. That's a very good haul then. Somebody knew what they were getting you then if they got you some masks for Christmas. But yeah, so round my granddad's at the moment. My mum's doing him some Christmas food, and then we're having our proper Christmas dinner later today, almost like a dinner time one. So he's having his at lunchtime, and then after we've seen him for a bit and that, we've given him some presents already. We're going to obviously head home and that, and then I'll be having Christmas dinner at like proper dinner time, so I have to keep snacking throughout the day. So yeah, hopefully the internet isn't too bad here. It's not a proper 5G connection, because although it says 5G, it's definitely one of those 4G ones pretending to be 5G. And he doesn't have internet around his house, but because the actual mobile signal's quite good where he lives, unlike where I live, I'm actually able to, you know, connect and stream to some degree. So yeah, I'm just going to... Right, there we go, reconnecting. So yeah, because annoyingly though, with the YouTube... Oh, and I've got a black screen now. Black screen for anybody else? Oh dear. All right, can you hear me still, even if you can't see me? Oh, we can still see you. It's a black screen on my screen. Okay. Right, let me try and prop the phone back up properly. Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can turn on like one of the settings and then turn it off to see if I can get my screen back, because obviously it's a bit distracting at the moment. The Italian M90 is very good. Yeah, all right, Peach. All right, there we go. I've got the horrible green screen on, so let's turn that off now. Right, we don't want a green screen. There we go. Right, good. I can actually see myself again. I don't know what the lighting thing does. Relight off, relight on. That doesn't look too bad with a relight on. I'll keep that on. I'm assuming that's just something that YouTube does on the stream end to make it hopefully look a bit better. So yeah, I've managed to prop this up using a combination of my phone's kickstand and some little objects on this desk to hopefully get it up, you know, fairly vertical. This room has weird lighting, by the way. It's got like a false ceiling that's made of plastic. I think my granddad installed himself years ago, and then it's got like fluorescent bulbs above it. So yeah, it's one of those really weird ceilings. Because just to show you, if that one's in frame, yeah, look, you can lift them up like office ceiling tiles. So yeah, it's a very weird ceiling in this room. It's a bit skew with. And it's also got some like the more office style looking polystyrene ceiling bits over there as well. So yeah, like I said, there's a really old rotary phone here as well. Don't think that's connected to anything. Yeah, really old rotary phone as well. But yeah, so it's one of those yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. So like I said, not at home. So if anybody says show a gas mask or whatever, can't do that at all, being around my granddad's. Only brought charging cables and that for my phone, and I've not got them in at the moment, so it sits flush on the desk. Yeah. Oh, look, Navy Cut Deluxe. Is that an old tobacco tin, I reckon? That's probably just filled with paper clips, whatever. Players Airman, Navy Cut Deluxe. Yeah, that would be tobacco, 2 ounces. But yeah, I always find it weird of some of the old curiosities you can find around his house. But yeah, so Merry Christmas to everyone. Like I said, I was looking at what else was on his wall behind me. Aramanches, that was obviously the beach he was at during D-Day. That's why there's 2 Aramanches posters, one there, look. So obviously, yeah. I can't remember what the actual code word was for Aramanches. Somebody can check for me in the thing. Was it Sword or Juno or whatever? I can't remember without looking it up. You're building a mesh computer chair. Hopefully one that's fairly sturdy and doesn't fall apart easily. Because that's the only problem with my current computer chair, the one that isn't a swivel one. It does have the issue that I've noticed the seat's already worn fairly thin. And although I'm using a big cushion with it, so that's not so much of an issue. If I don't have the cushion on it, I can immediately feel the thing stabbing me in the arse. I personally really like the C50 United States 1944. The C50 is the mask I've got in my like bug out bag kind of thing. So with the C50, that's like the mask I've got, and I've also got some old glasses. Took the arms off of them, and they pinch in well enough that I can wear it with glasses, and I can jostle my head about, and they won't come loose, even though they're not the proper optically fitted ones. So yeah, as long as you get one in the right size, I find it fairly comfortable. Again, it's still, I wouldn't say it's my comfiest mask, but it's overall my best mask in terms of how modern it is, the weight of it, the panoramic visor. Yeah, my one is a mesh one and it still has that issue, but yeah, like I said, I've just got a big cushion on it and it sorts that problem out. All right, Nick, and all right, Visa. So yeah, like I said, for the people who didn't know, the reason it's a different room and that is because I'm around my granddad's for Christmas. So because there's at least decent mobile internet here, because he doesn't have like obviously a broadband connection or whatever, he wouldn't use it. I've obviously got I'm just in one of the rooms upstairs that's like a storage room that used to be a bedroom at one point. And yeah, so just sat here doing a stream while he's having his dinner cooked for him and eating. So, I'm not being unsocial, really, not by being in the way at the moment. Saw him earlier to give him some presents and that. But, I've just thought, do a stream while I've got a chance where I wouldn't be otherwise doing much other than playing on my phone or watching the telly, but there wouldn't be much good on, I don't think. But yeah, I definitely prefer mesh to the solid material ones because, yeah, like the ones that are leather or fake leather, you stick to them, don't you, if you're sweaty with those sort of chairs, yeah, in the summer. So I definitely prefer mesh ones to that. But yeah, like with the mesh one I've got, like I said, I don't dislike it. It's just that because the chair, like cushioning material is pretty damn thin, it is when you have to kind of use of a cushion. But again, that doesn't bother me too much. But with some chairs, I've never needed cushions at all. But with this one, you certainly feel like the frame going into your ass if you didn't have a cushion on it. Yeah, like I said, Nick, we've got a weird Christmas this year because in a typical year, what we'd have around our house is like the morning was done the same as every other Christmas morning, where everybody in my immediate family gives each other presents. So that's all done. But on a typical Christmas day, my dad would pick my granddad up or whatever, bring him to our house, and we'd all have like Christmas lunch, essentially, at that sort of time, and do some more presents, watch the King or the Queen on telly, whatever. But this year, because my granddad can't really leave his house, we've gone round to see him for Christmas and bring him some food round that's just sort of being reheated for him, sort of thing. And then rather than then seeing some other relatives later in the evening, we're having our Christmas food later in the evening. So yeah, it's one of those weird ones to me where this isn't normally how we'd have Christmas. So it's, like I said, a bit strange for me. I wonder if the flip thing works at the moment, if that's still broken. I reckon that's still broken. Looks frozen to me. Oh yeah, it does. It has flipped over. Look, there's old pictures of me when I was really young. So yeah, and there's some weird African looking thing. Don't know what the fuck that is. It's not actually that warm in here, as you can see. It's about 15 Celsius. But yeah, there's some of me when I was really young. Look on there. So yeah, but yeah, I'll flip that back around the proper way around. So okay, That never used to work. As said, it seems what I've had to do is it forces YouTube to reconnect. Oh, now it says you're live and it's just got my profile picture. Okay, maybe I have broken it now. Right, let me try minimizing. There we go. Yeah, so it doesn't work well. Let's put it that way. Let's just give it a quick flip over again just to see if see that freezes there. Yeah, what I have to do, it's weird, is if I cut the camera and reopen it, does that also get it working? No. Yeah, okay, I think I'm back on again, but yeah, it's still buggy as hell, that feature on YouTube, so it's not one of those things I should really risk playing about with too much, I don't think. But yeah, so that at least I can use that now and again if it's something really worth doing. But again, the annoying thing is, obviously, if I'm streaming at home, I've got a webcam that's a better quality camera than this. I've got a better quality microphone, and I can also use the Omni Pocket 3, the DJI little camera, and that is really good quality for it is of quite a good inbuilt microphone. But if I use that to stream, YouTube doesn't send it to as many people because they prefer you streaming via mobile. And because so far for me the option to do the dual stream thing doesn't work, where you stream like with a normal horizontal wide screen setup, and then it clips the middle of it into vertical for phone users, because that still isn't an option for me on my channel. Unfortunately, I can't do that, so I have to stream with the phone, which isn't as good. Again, the quality isn't awful on this. You know, the speaker could be a bit better and everything, but it's not an awful quality. That's just annoying me now. I think that's where it's just where the light is. You constantly see the light doing that. But yeah, so yeah, that's one of the slightly annoying things for me is the you know, thing that I have better quality cameras, but if I bloody use them to stream, YouTube doesn't share the videos as much. I did dig my GP5M/PMG2 out of storage the other day, so I'm going to do another video on that fairly soon. Because again, that's one of the Soviet. Yeah, that's the problem, Rob. Like I said, I've got better quality cameras, but when I use them, YouTube doesn't share them as much. And again, I wouldn't be able to use them really today anyway, because I'm obviously, like I said, not at my house to do this stream. I'm streaming via the phone anyway. But it does annoy me when I'm at home that, you know, if I stream using my better setups, YouTube doesn't share it as much as if you're using their mobile app, because it seems they want you to use their mobile app to stream. Yeah, so the GP5M, it looks like a standard GP5, but it's got a voice diaphragm right in the middle of it, and it's also got ear holes in it, which I actually like. Some people don't like that because they go, oh, you could get chemicals in your ear. But generally with a mask like that, if you've got the chemical threat that's really bad anyway, you'd be wearing it with a full CBRN suit that would be covering your ears regardless. But the whole point, I think, with this one having the ears exposed is if you're just wearing it for like a particle threat, sort of, or a basic gas threat, you can hear more easily. All right, G4Z666. Again, the problem is doing this on a phone. Yeah, exactly, Rob. You'd have the suit on, so that's not a problem. Because again, most Western masks, again, I think people forget this, don't cover your ears anyway. Like if you think of the S10 or any of those masks, they're normally that shape and your ears are still exposed regardless. Yeah, exactly, Visa, what I was just saying. So yeah, it's that stupid thing where I don't know why people keep making the argument about that for the GP5M PMG2. Whereas, like, yeah, most Soviet masks covered your ears, but most Western masks didn't anyway. So it's not like it's much of a difference. And I even think now of that mask, the rubber isn't like really fragile at the back, like it's going to rip easily, you know, like it's a ripping point sort of thing there. Because again, some of the Soviet masks did have slightly thinner membranes on the ear area, which also again works. But yeah, I do actually prefer the GP5M design to a regular GP5 just because you can hear and speak more clearly wearing it. Doesn't really make it look goofy to me because when you're wearing it, like I said, doesn't look any different than most Western masks. But yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody. Yeah, exactly, because you don't know with what gas there is. You don't know if it's going to be something that's going to damage you through skin contact. No, mostly same. Again, I haven't had all my presents yet because quite often with a lot of the Christmas presents I might get from relatives, I don't get them till after Christmas, you know, when you next see the person after Christmas. But from my parents, mostly just money and a few other things. They got me beer, even though they knew I'm trying not to be drinking, so that's funny. But they only got me a 4-pack of fairly strong beers, so it's all right. Last night I did actually have some wine and didn't go stupid with it, so I was quite happy about that. Because, like I said, where I'm in a better mental state at the moment, I was able just to have a drink and say I'm having one drink and leaving it at that. I didn't, have weird cravings to go back and sort of drink myself into oblivion. So that was actually really good. So yeah, I've got some beers, got some chocolates, scratch cards, some money. Most relatives that have given me presents so far have given me money because they know I can actually make use of that. But yeah, that the thing is though with GP5s is again that's the problem having a thin, cheap mass-produced helmet mask design is they can rip easily. But they're still not going to rip easily if they've been looked after. Right, Rajiv, hope you're all right. Like I said, I'm at my granddad's at the moment, so hence why it's not the normal background, and people can't tell me to get a mask and put it on. Oh, grab that. Oh, there's some toilet rolls behind me, look. And some packets of Tesco's rip-offs of Frosties in that corner. So yeah, it's not an exciting background where people are going, oh, what's this, what's that? Oh, that's very cool, Rob. But yeah, like I said, for me, most of my relatives normally give me money, and I'm happy with that because then I can choose what I want to spend it on. When you store them somewhere sunlight doesn't hit them. Because the problem with GP5s is they are definitely made from a rubber that starts wearing down when sunlight hits them. So if you see pictures of GP5 type masks, shum helmet masks being used in, and this applies as well to like the MM1, it's not just the GP5s, but with them specifically, you see pictures where they're being used in countries like India or African countries, and they've gone literally a really dark brown kind of scaly thing. Because yeah, they turn like this weird yellow brown color and start getting damaged because obviously the type of rubber it's from is quite sensitive to UV. I imagine the black versions of the mask are actually better at resisting UV. Yeah, you can put a silica packet in there to stop it from getting damp and then drying out and getting damp again. Yeah, it's the most mass-produced mask in history as far as I'm aware. So yeah, the Shum 62 or the Shum 62U is its proper name. GP5 is the name of like the packet with a filter, but everybody knows it as the GP5. And I think the Soviets made, didn't they, about 100 million of them? Because most gas masks that were mass produced were in numbers of like 300,000 to about 1 million, from lots of nations around history if it was a mask they made for a few years. The GP5 is 100 million, and that's just the GP5 as far as we're aware. So things like the GP5M you add on top of that, Soviet like PDF children's masks you add on top of that. I don't know. I've not looked to buy one in ages, Saint, but I know literally everything that's Soviet's gone up in price since the war in Ukraine. Because regardless of surplus stocks drying up like they always do, because Russia and Ukraine were one of the two big countries, they often were sold to Western countries for surplus stores. That's not really happening anymore, or not on a proper scale. A lot of them also came from, I think, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. A lot of those commie block masks. That's not good. You've got the flu. Now, I'm lucky that the cold I've got or had is pretty much completely gone now. Oh, look, there's a picture of me as a baby here. Just found that. I'm going to just do that and hold it up rather than actually try and, turn the camera around again. That quilt, though, in the background, I've still got that quilt. So that's lasted years and years, that quilt. Yeah. So what's $50 in pounds? Like £30? I mean, I would have said years ago no, but at the moment, it's probably is a good price for a GP5, just because, like I said, it's one of those masks that's getting harder and harder to get, like most things. But yeah, so for the people who didn't see, oh, and don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because liking seems to help YouTube share my stuff. And I'm looking at YouTube analytics, my views are doing that at the moment, which is really nice. I even got one of those AI notes from YouTube going, your views are up 84% since you started uploading more regularly. With most masks, though, the storage instructions is pretty much the same. Keep them in a satchel or can to keep them away from sunlight. Keep them in somewhere that doesn't get too hot or cold, so a room with a stable temperature. And yeah, that's about it. Keep them out of direct sunlight, keep them stored somewhere that's not damp, and keep them at a stable temperature, away from sunlight. It's basically the same instructions for nearly every mask. It's just general sort of, don't keep them in a damp environment. Don't leave them out in the sun, and don't put them somewhere where it's going to get cold and warm up. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Hype. Yeah, again, the Soviets were really, really good at this fucking mass production thing. Because again, with the Soviets, it wasn't like they had a load of different designs that, companies won a tender for. It was more like, here is what you're making in your factory, comrade. Yeah, cheers, thanks, Joshua. So yeah, like I said, not actually in my house today, so people can't ask me to get out any of the surplus. But like I said, I did dig out this Christmas jumper that makes me look like I've got tits. So there is that. I don't know why from the side. I think it's these lines on it that give it a weird shape. So obviously I've got a bit of pectoral muscle there anyway and a bit of fat, but with this on, it makes me really look like I've got tits. So again, I don't know why it is this particular shaped jumper does that. Oh, I did also get the if I can hold my foot up high enough, I did put those Christmas socks on as well with a Santa and a Spitfire on. Good suit to paint a house. Personally, I just buy cheap coveralls that are like £10. Yeah, I do. If you've looked at my videos, you'll see that I've got loads of stuff that isn't gas masks. Yeah, S10s are quite hard to get in the US. I had to send one of my mates in the US. I did a mask trade with him. He sent me a Canadian C4. I sent him an S10 because both of us could get those masks and send them to each other easily. Yeah, design bureaus, exactly. Because that's like the whole thing, wasn't it? Where with some of the Soviet stuff, they had like the weird things where design bureaus were trying to sabotage each other's thing. There's a really interesting thing to do that with the BMP-2, where the BMP-2 almost didn't get its 30mm gun, because of the fact that whichever design bureau made the old, like, low velocity, like, cannon, was it 73mm? I can't remember what the old BMP-1's gun was. But that particular design bureau was trying to sabotage the 30mm gun, and fuck it over in all the tests because they didn't want the Grom gun being replaced. But yeah, and like you said to me, Hype, the other week about the Tupolev 22 and the Tu-22M being completely different planes because of the fact that they pretended it was the same plane or whatever to get the budget for it, where they couldn't do that if they said they were making a new plane. Oh, that's kind of interesting as well. Yeah, I didn't even know about that bit of it. But yeah, I suppose that makes sense if they hadn't really thought about how it would be mass produced. So they make a prototype, like the Central Committee or whatever, rubber stamps it, and then the factories are like, "What the bliat? How do we make this?" But yeah, and like I said, in Britain, we've always had the problem of somebody designs something that's nearly perfect. There's one really like big gaping hole in it, like, something that could very easily be fixed by just using a replacement part or redesigning it again, and that never gets done, and then the thing gets a shit reputation, like the Leyland engine, the Leyland multi-fuel engine on the Chieftain, or the Warrior not having a stabilized gun. Because it's not good to drink too much in general, G4Z. You know, in general, being, drinking too much is not good for you. Not good for your mental health, not good for your physical health. If you actually look in the UK on the back of, it's probably similar in the US, they say roughly what they don't think you should drink more of, than that, however many units per week. And it's actually a surprisingly low number. Yeah, all the Ajax making people vomit and deafening them, yeah. And again, the Ajax is weird because the vehicle it was based on didn't have any issues. And then it was like where they tried to throw so much shit onto the same vehicle body that it had issues. No plans to buy an FM54, no. And again, better than the C50, really depends. Because again, depends what you want in a mask. Because like I keep saying to people, with the FM53 and the FM54, a lot of that is built for special forces who have very specific needs from a mask. As a civilian, I don't have those needs from a mask. So it wouldn't necessarily be a better mask for me. Again, it's like I've said this to loads of people about helmets, body armors, whatever. You get the thing that's most suitable for what you need for it, not what a various military or special forces need from their item. Because again, it's like with a civilian buying night vision, you can generally get night vision that's good enough for what you might need that isn't top of the range stuff. But, never seen them for sale in the UK, as I've said quite a few times. Again, some of those masks are made in China and then rebranded in the US, I think, if I remember right, if I'm thinking of the right ones you're on about. And again, it's one of those cases where I've only seen the Chinese originals for sale, not the SGE versions. They won't be bulletproof on the lens. You can get some masks that are really thick polycarbonate that might stop birdshot for one hit before the next hit shatters it, but you do not get bulletproof gas masks. They don't exist. Because if you look at what bulletproof material is made of, it isn't latex, and it isn't butyl rubber, and it isn't transparent plastic. So no, they won't be bulletproof. Because if you've ever actually handled a real ballistic shield, the ones that are a see-through material are like really thick bulletproof glass, and that isn't something you'd have molded onto a gas mask. So no, if they're claiming it's bulletproof, that is a load of bollocks. The best mask for me is the C50, doesn't mean it's the best mask for other people. Again, it's a how long is a piece of string question. What is the best gas mask? It's like asking somebody what's the best rifle, what's the best car. Depends what you want to use it for. There's some masks that are definitely bad, and some masks that are definitely better than others. But like we were just saying about the FM53, FM54, there's some masks that are very, very good if you want one mask to do lots of different jobs, and how it can, do different things. But some people just want a simple, very straightforward mask. Well, like I said, the C50 out of all the masks I own is the best one I own. On average, on balance. But that doesn't mean that there's other masks in my collection that are more comfortable than the C50, but don't give us good visibility. There are other masks with a better panoramic lens on it, but then, have other issues. The C50 is probably my best overall mask that I'd want to use, hence why it's in my bug out sort of kit. Yeah, exactly. The Soviet middleman system didn't have porkies in it, yeah, so you actually were able to produce stuff in big numbers. Nearly all masks eventually decay. Again, PAPR system is personal preference. I personally, even though I'm asthmatic, don't need a PAPR system. But like I've said before with PAPRs, because I've got a couple, is if you're in a hot country, PAPRs are nice because they're constantly blowing air onto your face. So it works a bit like, it's a bit like having a fan in your face. And if you're moving loads of heavy gear around, they assist you with breathing. But most people do not need a PAPR. Again, PAPRs obviously are also really good if you're in a situation where, you're worried about the fit of the mask and something like that. But again, most people do not need a PAPR. It's kind of like buying gimmicky shit. A lot of this stuff. That there's time and a place for all these things, but most people don't need all this stuff. Most people, if they had a modern GP5 style mask, would be absolutely fine. You know, most people, if they had a mask, don't need all that much from it. But yeah, G4 Z, all masks are eventually going to decay. Some will do it at faster rates than others. It depends how they've been stored. But yeah, everything eventually breaks down. Nothing lasts forever. A lot of masks will outlive people in terms of the quality of what they're built out of, you know. They don't biologically fail like us. They don't have heart attacks, whatever. But yes, everything eventually breaks down, even if you store it really well. So, you know, I couldn't feel much of a difference. Again, I'd have to compare it side by side, you know, wearing one, then wearing the other directly after it. But again, it's also going to depend a lot on the filter, isn't it? So again, I'd have to make sure to make the test fair. I'd have to use the same filter on each of the masks, and I'd have to do the test one after the other to make sure I'm breathing at about the same rate. But yeah, I didn't notice it being stupidly easy, but I didn't notice it being difficult either, if that makes sense. Oh, thank you very much, Oliver. I can't actually see that on here, but I'm sure it will tell me on Gmail or whatever. Because I think I have both in the links, don't I? I have the Ko-fi one and the coffee one. The Ko-fi one is older, but yeah, Buy Me a Coffee is the one most YouTubers use now, which is why I set that up, because more people trust them or whatever. But yeah, thank you very much. I'll look at that afterwards. But because I'm on my phone, I can't minimize it to have a look because it will stop the stream for everybody. Because you can't Alt tab out on the phone with the YouTube app without it pausing the stream. Newer gas masks. Nearly any newer mask that's made out of butyl rubber is pretty damn good. My current CBRM suit I'd actually use, you know, as my favourite one is my Remploy suit. Is it Remploy Britannia? And as I've said to people, the only thing I dislike on that suit is basically once you climb into it, the main sealant zip is across your back like that. So that's the thing I don't like with the Remploy suit. Everything else I really like about it. But yeah, thank you very much, Oliver, and Merry Christmas to you as well. Like I said, I'm around my granddad's at the moment as well, so I can only actually stream from my phone. Oh, and don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Just going to keep saying that. Right, have a safe flight, Hype. And did you say you're going to Taiwan or coming back from Taiwan? But yeah, have a very safe flight. Hope you have no turbulence or whatever. Hope if there's food, it's good airplane food. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you with the Cyrillic name I won't be able to read. That looks like Kawa, but again, I won't be able to read that because it's not English alphabet. How can I show you my masks? I'm at my granddad's. I've already said that. I'm not at my house. I can't show you the masks. Yeah, like I said, like you said, 6-6 Jet. It's one of those things where, yeah, if you're in a team with other people, it's very easy. And yeah, I'm very tempted with mine to get some paracord. Like you said, the next time I actually use it, like, you know, just tie a big paracord loop around it so you can, you know, grab it more easily. But like I said, that's the only design flaw with that NBC suit, I'd say. I wish they'd just done the zip across the front, because then you'd be able to still climb into the suit the same way, but, you know, zip it up properly because your arm's doing that, not across your back like that. But yeah, the reason I really like the Remploy Britannia, very, very good suit material that's comfortable, you know, and waterproof and everything else like you need it to be. But the main thing I really like with it is the bit around the bit that seals around the mask, the cuffs and the ankles are all made from like kind of a bit like dry suit rubber. So it's like a stretchy rubber where you don't have to tie any like Velcro or button up things around your wrists to keep the gloves tight with the suit. They're done really well in that regard. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Rich. So yeah, it's made out of some sort of waterproof fabric. Like I said, the actual ankles, wrists, and head bit are rubber. The main bit of the suit is some sort of, you know, waterproof fabric. So it's fairly comfortable, but it's thicker fabric, say, than the British Mark IV suits. What's the new virus? There's a flu. Merry Christmas, Retro Delights. But yeah, if other than the flu that's going around, I haven't heard of anything else. So could you try a Chempac XRT suit? Never heard of them. I'll screenshot that so I can remember to look later. But as said, at the moment, because I'm streaming from my phone, I can't minimize it to Google anything. Because it's not like I'm at the PC when I do a normal stream. I can just open the tab and, have this open while I type away. Can't do that on here because, one, I'm not at home and I'm streaming only from the phone. So as soon as I alt tab out of this, it stops the stream for everybody. So I'm not going to do it. They're flash hood retro delights. So it depends what you're using it for. If you're breaching somewhere and you might set yourself on fire, the flash hoods make a lot of sense. Otherwise, for most people, no, you don't need them. Just wear them with an NBC suit. But yeah, the whole point of the flash hoods is basically where they use breaching charges. And the idea is that, it's like a material that's, like flame resistant or whatever. So embers and whatever don't get into your hair and whatever else. That's what the point of them is, the flash hoods. Well, with the flu that's about, as I've already said in the video, if you're clinically vulnerable or you're worried about picking it up and giving it to somebody that's clinically vulnerable, then I would personally wear at least a half face respirator if you're in public transport or somewhere really busy. If you have a decent immune system and everything else, I wouldn't worry too much. Again, I've heard from people who have caught it, it's a really nasty flu, but they've all survived. They just felt really shit for 2 weeks or whatever. But again, if you're clinically vulnerable in some way, that you're asthmatic, you have an autoimmune disease, and you need to go out, or if you are worried that you'll catch it and then pass it on to somebody else who's vulnerable, then I would, yes, personally, wear at least a half face respirator with P3, P100 filters if you're out and about. The Shum 2012 does. I did a video on the other week or the other day. If you look up the Shum 2012, I did a video on that literally a few days ago again. That is a modern Russian mask that does that design. The Chinese also make helmet-style masks still for civilian industry. I've never bought anything off of Temu. I've reviewed some Chinese shit masks that didn't work before that were really cheap. Yeah, that's what they're for, retro delights. They're literally flash hoods. You could get them in white as well, I think, for one point for the Royal Navy. For, when you see like the gunners on anti-aircraft guns on old ships where they used to have like the white hoods. And you also, they just had ones that were for just the regular like guys if they were breaching either like armed police or the SAS or whatever. And yeah, it's just so basically if you set a breaching charge off and loads of sparks and like flaming debris flies off, your hair or anything else doesn't catch on fire behind the mask. So it's basically like having a flame retardant suit on. It's just so lots of the mask is covered with that. And then I guess they'd be wearing some sort of flame retardant boiler suit anyway if they were breaching. So it's basically, it's just to be used in conjunction with that. So I guess your boiler suit goes up to your neck, and then that hood is so that the rest of your head is sort of covered, and the rubber of the mask shouldn't set on fire from some sparks. But then it's just, So, and also so it doesn't go down the back of your neck as well, I imagine, like the embers. Yeah, like the TF1. I think there's the MF1A. There's quite a few. Oh, that's good. 666 jet might mean you have a good immune system. Quite a few GP5s. I don't actually know in total. And I don't have any here because I'm at my granddad's at the moment. But yeah, in regards to GP5s, I've got a couple of regular GP5s, 2 GP5M/PMG2s. So probably 5 or 6. And then if you were counting every helmet mask that kind of looks a bit like a GP5, absolutely fucking loads. But you depends. MF14s are made by more than one company. And again, I'd have to look up which particular one is the M14. Sorry, MF14, because some of the ones I've got are made by different companies. But I'm pretty sure the only mask I had made by Pewter was that really shit one. Because, like I said before, sometimes, again, some of the Chinese masks are made by more than one company. And that's why, again, with some of them, you want to be careful which company you buy from. And apparently Pewter is one of those weird ones where the company got like taken over, and then I think it went back to having the same name, but it's not the same company anymore. Because of the fact that the Chinese government didn't want shit masks for their own domestic use. So it was like one of those things where they probably purged a load of people in the company, and then reset it up. What do you mean by a pewter bag? All of the Chinese masks come in those orange drawstring bags, if that's what you're on about. Literally every single one of them. That's like one of the things they just pack them in before shipping. As a message for review, let's see if it's offensive or it's just a silly message. Oh, and I'm trying to click the thing, but it doesn't work very well. No, for some reason the one you said about pewter is being held by YouTube, and I can't allow it. As in, it just won't let me allow it. For the person saying, could I buy $1,000 hazmat suit? The answer is no. Yeah, you'll bring dishonor to our country. Yeah. Again, I'll probably get accused of racism for that, but yeah, with China, I don't know if you know about this. There has been a lot of stuff over the last sort of decade where, because they want to get their military readiness up a lot, what they've been doing is finding and purging a lot of the companies they reckon, and like people like generals and that they think haven't been pulling their weight or have been skimming money off the side. So I think Xi, Mr. Winnie the Pooh, has been basically getting a lot of these companies and that, and if they aren't pulling their weight, the CCP thinks that they've been, embezzling too much money and the products aren't good enough for China maybe going on the expansion. It's not been ending well for the people in those companies. So yeah, because apparently they did that with, I think, a lot of their missile command or something, that because the missiles weren't expected to be used, a bit like with a lot of the Russian stuff and the corruption, it was a very easy, industry for people to embezzle money from and not make working products or not maintain the missiles and stuff like that. And apparently when the government looked into it, a lot of people disappeared. Anyway, I'll finish fairly soon because I've been on for nearly 45 minutes. All right, cool. How does that one work differently than the normal Zippo lighter? Is it just a different flame on it, like a softer flame stalker? Because with some of those as well, you can get the like jet lighter inserts of Zippos, can't you? Which are pretty damn good. I actually really like the Zippos when they have like the pressurized gas, like the butane inserts, because it goes from being a cool looking lighter that isn't that practical due to evaporation to being actually quite a useful lighter. If you haven't been following the channel over the last couple of weeks, AAS, my last job I quit quite recently. So at the moment, just doing YouTube until I find something else I want to do. And again, I can afford to because I'm sensible with my money and I don't do stupid things with my money. But no, I do, but not to the extent I know a lot of other people do. So yeah, there was something like that I heard. I think there was a Perrin video, wasn't there? He brought it up as well. But yeah, I think a lot of people went to Gulag or disappeared or, probably had their organs harvested regarding all that sort of stuff. Because, yeah, now that China is really wanting to get their game up, as like probably the biggest economy on earth and, might be going on the expansion. I think, yeah, if you're not pulling your weight in bits of their industry or sort of military, something bad's going to probably happen to you. I don't know if you want to use pure petrol in a Zippo lighter, because again, lighter fluid is a little bit different than petrol. Oh, fire comes out the side to make it easier to light a pipe. I get you now. It's like an angled one, yeah. Anyway, I will be going off in a minute because, like I said, I've been on 45 minutes. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody, before I go off. If you haven't liked the stream yet, Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you to anybody that said they've sent me a donation or whatever. I'll check that after the stream. But like I said, but when I'm streaming on a mobile, annoyingly, I can't easily check buy me a coffee or anything like that. Oh, sorry, when I'm streaming on the phone, because you know, I can't alt tab. Is what still being produced, G4Z? Oh, thank you very much, Ben M. That's very kind of you. Cheers. Yeah, let me just scroll up. Right, so G4Z, your question I couldn't see. Reword it in a different way and ask me again right before I go off. But thank you very much, Ben M. I really appreciate that. Merry Christmas to you as well. Oh, what, you mean a panoramic lens, G4Z? I personally like panoramic lenses. Again, I like the old school creepy looking gas mask with the two lenses like that, just because it's, you know, like history. It's how they used to look. But panoramic lenses, when done well, are more practical, especially if it's quite flat on the front of the panoramic lens, because then you can still have night vision and binoculars go flush against them. But you know, you just have a wider field of view and you don't have any ghosting in the middle of your vision. Because with gas masks with two lenses, even when they're done really well, you still always have a little bit of ghosting in between your eyes. And again, you don't really notice it when you've got both eyes open because of the fact that, you know, how your vision corrects itself, but you always do get a bit of ghosting with a bit of a dead zone. With the Korean gas masks, I haven't really had a chance to play with the Korean gas masks very much, so I can't tell you much about them. You know, a lot of people like them. There is one Korean mask I have, isn't there? But I can't remember the number without looking it up. But I think they're not great, not terrible masks, you know, if I remember right. As in, they're built pretty well. But, you know, that one I've got that's like a C50 ripoff is basically just a shitter tier quality C50. It's not an awful mask, but the weird thing with that one is actually saying about that is the plastic is really crap on it. So it's like one of those masks where the rubber is quite comfortable, but the lens is scratched very easily, and the plastic kind of housing chips away very easily. So it was like they made the mask from really good quality rubber, but then they really cheaped out on the plastic. Which, weirdly, talking about South Korea, although it's probably completely unrelated, that's the issue I've had with a lot of Samsung electronics, where like you could buy a Samsung TV and it's a really good actual TV, but like the plastic stand and the plastic like housing for the TV is really shit quality plastic. That's interesting. They hate it in Korea. That's interesting. But yeah, I don't know particularly why that's a thing, you know. But yeah, like I said, it's just a thing I've noticed with some of the Korean stuff I've had. But you know, like especially like Korean electronics, like South Korean electronics are really bloody good. You know, loads of people like LG and Samsung and everything. But it's just kind of one of those strange things where some of the things have cheap plastic on them. Because that was the thing I absolutely hated when I used to have my old Samsung TV that I think my dad uses now. Before I got my 4K TV and got the I think it's Philips I use at the moment because I like Philips, the Dutch company. But the stand on it was really cheap plastic. So what I had to do when I had it on my desk to make the TV actually, you know, horizontal properly was wedge like cigarette boxes under each side of the TV, you know, make one a bit lower than the other. So it would actually balance the thing because the cheap plastic stand wasn't actually. That's interesting as well, yeah. So sometimes if you get the export one, you get a better quality one or worse quality one, depending on domestic market versus export market, which again is quite similar to a lot of other countries. Sometimes export stuff is higher quality because they know that, you know, people, if they think it's low quality, won't buy it or vice versa. Anyway, I'll be off now. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you have a good Christmas. Thank you to all the people that donated to me. I really appreciate that because, again, like I said, now I'm not working properly. You know, I'm just doing YouTube. I'm a lot more reliant on that sort of money. But yeah, cheers. Thank you. So I'll be off now. Have a lovely Christmas. I've still got a video coming out every day at the moment. You know, sometimes they're short, sometimes they're longer videos. I'm hopefully doing a stream tomorrow. I should definitely do a stream tomorrow because it's Boxing Day tomorrow. So I'm at home, don't have much on. So I should do probably an hour's stream tomorrow. And being at home, I can actually have, you know, like a cup of coffee right next to me or whatever else. Well, at my granddad's today, that's a bit more difficult. What about this time, question mark? Oh, what, this time of day? No, I'll probably do it later in the day, because when I did a poll on it, most Americans, because most of my viewers are from America and quite a lot are from Canada, and then like Britain is like the second highest, by percentage. Evening British time is normally the best time for us. So like at the moment, it's just coming up to 12 midday. If that's the right way up. Or is that upside down? Yeah, if you see that, like obviously it's 11:57 on there. So yeah, it's nearly 12 midday. So when I did a poll, I'm going to check the results again. Yeah, but when I did a poll before, 9 p.m. UK time was the most popular thing, assuming that it's not changed since then. 5 p.m. was the second most popular. So basically, if I do it any time after 5 p.m., getting closer to 9 p.m., that's the best time for most people, because then at least people that way, if they're at work in the UK, they finished work and got home by that time. And in the US, it's at least gone midday everywhere in the US. Whereas if I do them earlier, then a lot of people in the US are asleep, especially on the West Coast, even though it's good for people in Asia and Australia and stuff like that. This is just a cheap Chinese smartwatch that I replaced my with this one. My Google one that was a lot more expensive and the battery died on it. I can't tell you the exact name of this without looking it up, because apparently it's one that a few companies make and they all give it different brands. But they're like £30-40 on Amazon. And the battery in this lasts a week without charging it for definite. Whereas my Google one, by the end, the battery I had to charge up every day to every 2 days to keep it working. Yes, tomorrow I'll be streaming from my house, as I said. So tomorrow, if people say, can you get a gas mask out, whatever, I can do, assuming it's one that's in that room and not somewhere buried in the house. I still like Casios. I still like mechanical watches as well. I just like these because I can do a blood pressure check or like a heart rate check with them and stuff like that. And I can monitor my sleep quality with smartwatches, which is quite good. All right, you'd have to use a clock. If you look up 9 p.m. GMT to US time and whatever you are in the US, because bear in mind, in the US, they have different time zones. They have like East Coast Central Time and Western Time, or whatever it is, Pacific Time. So, yeah, like I said, it's easiest just for me to say 9 p.m. UK time, and then people can type what time is it in whatever country or whatever time zone, 9 p.m. GMT or whatever UK time, and it will tell you, it will convert it for you. So I'll tell you, but again, I don't know if I'll be doing it exactly 9 p.m. tomorrow, but I will be doing it in the evening. Anyway, have a good day, everybody. Thank you to everybody that donated. Thank you to everybody that liked the stream. If you haven't liked the stream, don't forget to click like, because, YouTube is sharing my stuff a bit more at the moment again, which is nice. And I'm going to go spend the rest of the day with my family because it's Christmas, and hopefully in the evening have a chat with some mates and play some games online or whatever, if they're around and not too drunk or too occupied doing family things themselves. But yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a good day. And again, a massive thank you to anyone that donated, because that does really help me out. But if you've just watched anyway, that's helped me as well. So have a good day. Have a lovely Christmas. Merry Christmas.